On Friday, I sat down with President Obama and we talked about the protest in Iran. The Iranian people were very much on the president's mind. On Saturday, he called upon the Iranian government to stop all violent and unjust actions against its own people.
The world is watching, and how they approach and deal with people who are, through peaceful means, trying to be heard, will, I think, send a pretty clear signal to the international community about what Iran is and is not. This is not an issue of the United States or the West versus Iran. This is an issue of the Iranian people. The fact that they are on the streets under pretty severe duress, at great risk to themselves, is a sign that there's something in that society that wants to open up.
People in this country say you haven't said enough, that you haven't been forceful enough in your support for those people in the street, to which you say?
To which I say the last thing that I want to do is to have the United States be a foil for those forces inside Iran who would love nothing better than to make this an argument about the United States. That's what they do. That's what we're already seeing. We shouldn't be playing into that. There should be no distractions from the fact that the Iranian people are seeking to let their voices be heard. What we can do is bear witness and say to the world that the incredible demonstrations that we've seen is a testimony to, I think, what Dr. King called the arc of the moral universe. It's long, but it bends towards justice.
North Koreans have basically said that their intention is to fire a missile toward Hawaii on or about the 4th of July. Secretary Gates has said there has been a military adjustment and to watch out for something like that happening. But beyond the sanctions and beyond the isolation that has already been tried, what has to happen to get North Korea to at least act like they're part of the community of nations?
Well, first of all, let's be clear. This administration and our military is fully prepared for any contingencies. And
is that a warning of a military response?
No, it's just we are prepared for any contingencies. I don't want to speculate on hypotheticals, but I do want to give assurances to the American people that the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted in terms of what might happen. More broadly, I think the international community here has spoken. When you've got Russia and China, as well as South Korea, Japan, the United States, the entire Security Council, saying unequivocally that North Korea has violated international law, that and is willing to impose tougher sanctions.
They're still defiant.
Well, what that sends a signal, though, is of a unity in the international community that we haven't seen in quite some time. And one of the things that we have been very clear about is that North Korea has a path towards rejoining the international community. And we hope they take that path. What we're not going to do is to reward belligerence and provocation in the way that's been done in the past.
Leon Panetta intimated that the former vice president was playing politics with national security issues. The former president has intoned his own displeasure with some of your policy changes. I think they feel like some of the things that you've done, in fact, are treacherous.
Well, you know what, before you go there, I think if you read President Bush's remarks, I think that's not a fair characterization of what President Bush said.
Maybe not so unfair what Vice President Cheney.
Well, I think when it comes to Vice President Cheney, he and I have a deep disagreement about what's required to keep the American people safe. And I think that disagreement has been amply aired. And certainly he has a right to voice his opinions. I would argue that our policies are making the American people safer, and that some of the policies that he's promoted in the past have not.
All right. very quickly, financial regulatory reform. One of the big moves of the week was to really empower the Fed in a way it hasn't been before. Chris Dodd said,
giving the Fed more responsibility at this point, and he had a rather amusing analogy, is like a parent giving his son a bigger, faster car right after he crashed the family station wagon.
It was a good line, and I love Chris Dodd, and he's going to be a critical part of this financial regulatory reform process. I think it misapprehended the problem, the regulatory breakdown. It wasn't the Fed where the regulations broke down here. And part of what we want to do is to have somebody who's accountable and clear when it comes to these large systemic firms that could potentially bring down the entire financial system. The Fed has the expertise and the credibility, I think, to do it. We don't want a situation where taxpayers have to come in and bail out firms, because if those firms go under, the whole system collapses. And unfortunately, that's been the situation up until now. That's what we intend to get fixed. We want to make sure that this kind of crisis doesn't happen again.